Hey, welcome back. It's Monkey here. We'll show you few areas of noise from rear wheels. It could be first thing to check is that the emergency brake right there, that's not binding. So release the brake, raise the rear wheels up, spin the wheels, see if it's spinning freely or not. And it should make a little bit of grinding noise, but not a lot. It should just touch the rotors or the drums slightly. Now open the hood and check the brake fluid level. Right here, the reservoir. Well, this is the engine compartment, battery. This is the brake fluid. Now, before we go to the brake rotors and pads, look at the fluid level. It's really low. There is no brake fluid leak. Brake works fine. If this is low, that means the brakes are worn out. It could be the rear, it could be the front. If the noise is coming from rear, most likely it's the rear brake pads that are worn out. And all this fluid actually went inside into the cylinder as the piston came out further. So no need to add fluid, just to replace the brake pads and rotors. As you press the piston back into the cylinder, brake cylinder, this fluid level will come back up. After that, recheck this reservoir. If it's still low, you can add a little bit, but at the beginning, no need to add brake fluid. I'll show you how to do the brakes. Now, another area that can be wrong is the rear wheel bearings. We'll talk about it later. Now jack the car before you jack the rear end up. Block the front wheels like this. Make sure the car is on a flat surface, not on a high slope or so. Release the parking brake. So basically the parking brake has been released here because the rear wheels must rotate almost freely. Try to rotate, jack it up. We jacked it up right from there. It's off the floor now. The wheel doesn't turn. It's turning, but with lots of struggle. And there's the noise. If you can hear, there's the noise. And we have checked the caliper and the pads. It's not that clear here, but the rotors are thickness is okay. You can rotate it, you can machine it, turn the rotors, use the same rotors, or just buy new ones. We bought new set. The brake pads are actually very worn out, so they are to the bottom, and that's where the brake grinding noise coming from. So we'll do the rear brakes. Now there are other sources. It could be wheel bearing. It could be the rear wheel bearings that goes right there. We'll give some video on that probably in future. It could be the ABS. If you is equipped with ABS sensors, the ABS maybe sensor is failing. There should be a check engine light. And if ABS sensor is not working and brakes locked, that's very dangerous. It can actually melt the tires down. Okay, so it's time to do the rear brakes. Once the wheel is out, took the wheel out, to take the rotor out, you have to take the caliper off. So there are 2 bolts on the slider. Take those 2 out, goes out that way. Actually we'll take the whole caliper with the sliders out. So there are two bolts at the back, the big one here, one at the bottom. So take those two out and pull this out. To take the rotor out, there's the trick. Most of the time this will not come out easily. Well, here it's coming out. If it's seized not coming out, you can hammer on this thing a little bit, or to unseize it, or the better option I found is put the nut back in all the way, two of them all the way, and tighten them a little bit. As soon as you tighten it, the rotor goes in, this breaks open, so then you can release it easily. In our case it's easy. Also, if the rotor doesn't want to come out, to release this, take this rubber out. So take it out. There is a little crank here that we have to crank to release, to bring the parking brake shoes, which goes inside right here, to collapse them. Once they are collapsed, then the rotor would come out easily. To do that, we have to, that's it right here, we have to release right there. To open the back rear bolts here, two big ones for the caliper, use 17mm deep socket along about 3-inch, 2.5, 3-inch long deep socket. So that fits better. And a breaker bar like this. If it doesn't open easily, use extension to the breaker bar to break it. It'll be easily, should easily come off. So we took both bolts out. Needed to use the breaker bar with the extension pipe. Anyway, it came out okay. Now pull this out. Do it very carefully. Make sure this brake hose at the back doesn't kink or bend brake, because you don't want this thing to break and brake fluid will be all coming out. Use a flat head to pry it out slowly. Came out. So our pads are very worn out. We'll be changing them for sure, and the rotor will change it too. Original Honda rotor. Could easily machine it and reuse this rotor. To press the, this is how you take the rotor old pad out. Keep the inside pad on. We'll be pressing on it using a C clamp. Press here to push the piston in. There's a trick to it so that the ABS pump doesn't get damaged. I'll show you the trick. So to press the piston back in, this is a straight push piston, I think. Honda. Some vehicles you have to take this out and use a special tool to turn the piston, screw the piston back in. This one, as far as I remember, this we can just push it in. But the trick is put it back on and release the brake bleeding port with the 10mm. Is a 10mm socket. Release this port slightly. Slightly released it, so that when we press when you push the piston back in, brake fluid will come out this way. You don't want the brake fluid to come out now. Okay, brake fluid will come out. This will make sure that the ABS pump, the valves on the inside the ABS pump do not get damaged. If they get damaged, then the ABS pump doesn't work, or the other valves in the ABS system, which will eventually fail the brake, or brake will not be as strong as before. So always back it off a little bit, press the piston, fluid will come out, collect the fluid, tighten it right away so the air doesn't go into the system. Later on we'll blade it a little bit too, and then we put the new pads on. This is the trick. So put the C-clamp in, tighten it slowly, squeeze it, make sure that bleeding port is loose enough, release it a little bit. See brake fluid coming out, so there's no air right now. It's going in nicely. Quickly tighten it. This way we don't have to bleed it again. Okay, now release the C-clamp and take it out. So the sliders are working fine. Let's test them. This is very important. You push it back and forth to see. These are the sliders inside. If it's not moving nicely, then we have to take it out, re-grease it, maybe use new sliders, and install the brakes. Otherwise, new pads will be worn out right away. In this one, it's working nicely going back and forth. So took the brake pads out and put some anti-seize through the on the threads, as well as inside on the surface of the piston, so that it doesn't rust, and inside of these face plates, because here in Canada it really rusts bad. Clean all the surface where the rotor or the pad actually slides. The squeak sound that comes from the brake often comes from, show this area, comes right from here, this sound. So clean this with a flat head, or sometimes you can sand it a little bit, but be careful, the boot can get cut if you try to sand it. I try to avoid it. Clean it, and then apply a little bit of anti-seize or brake grease. Not too much. If you put too much, it's going to run into the brake rotors, which may cause brake failure. You don't want that. We put the new pad in, put a little bit of anti-seize or brake grease around. Some people like to put some caulking here, gasket maker here actually. If the surface of this this flat surface of the caliper is no longer smooth, then you can put that to basically fill up any void space. We don't have to, it's pretty smooth. Before you install the new rotor, just put some anti-seize here slightly so that new rotor doesn't get jammed all around, or brake grease. Clean it and then it's a good practice. Now if the bearings are gone, turn this, you will hear a humming sound if the wheel bearings are damaged or it will not rotate right. In that case you have to change this entire hub. You can buy it from eBay again for $30–40 or so, and you take this cap off. There's a bolt, center bolt. Once you take this cap off, unscrew the bolt and this will come out, the whole thing. Sometimes you have to use a pulley to bring it out if it's really worn out. So in our case we'll just put the new rotor. So once the rotor's in, use the emergency brake, engage the emergency brake and turn it. It shouldn't turn once the emergency brake is on. In our case we turned, engaged it, and it was fully locked. Released it, it should go nice. With little sound that is rubbing the inner pads, brake shoes actually. So if it's too loose, the inner brake shoes, then you have to readjust it by cranking, using a flathead through that little crank. Showed it in the video before. Crank it to open the brake shoes out, or you can reverse the car. Once everything is installed, just go backward, brake, go forward, back and forth few times, and it should readjust by itself. Now put the back bolts, caliper bolts on, and use a 17mm ratchet to tighten them, torque them properly, and put the hood back on. We're good to go. You can bleed the brake port if you think that the air has gone in, and if not, it's okay. Put the wheel back on, tighten the lug nuts in a crisscross pattern. So if you do it first, don't go all the way, snugly fit it first, then the one across, go crisscross pattern. Slowly keep tightening it. You have to have some patience to do this, because if you go tighten the first one very tight, the wheel will be off. It'll be not straight. Very dangerous. So tighten crisscross pattern and torque it properly, usually 90 or 110 foot-pounds. And do the other side of the wheel, same way, other brake. Then finally check the fluid level in the brake reservoir. If it's low, then fill it up. If it's high, it should be okay. We did lose a little bit of fluid though, so just top it up. Okay, don't forget to subscribe for more fine tips on how to do various technical work. Cheers.